Hey, what's going on? MLA, you can stop your timer. Your stinking 5 minutes is up. I'm not going to make you wait 5 minutes. 4.5. Not quite 5. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone had a great weekend. We'll give everyone a few more minutes to pop in. Pardon me. And see who we can get in here before we start. We got a special guest today. We're going to bring in a criminal justice intern that we have here at Rise Above. An intern's kind of like I don't like the name. I don't like the term, the header. Not a fan. But she's done some phenomenal work for us in looking at our current and former students, and I can't wait to explore with her kind of the work that she's done. And she's put together an amazing little PowerPoint for us that I want to go through with you guys and kind of explain the ins and outs of the importance of our work and kind of what it can do for the population that we serve, and honestly what it does for the population we serve. So when we get there, we'll have that conversation in just a minute. But MLA, since you're here first, how are you doing? How was your weekend? I trust you are well and that you had a relaxing time. Hey, Uncle Jim, how are you doing, buddy? Are you, Jim, you going to be around for a few minutes this morning? Or I assume you're at work and you're kind of just popping in. It was unproductive mostly. Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. Mine was productive-ish, sort of, maybe. Did a little bit, didn't do too much. Did a lot of relaxing and all that kind of stuff. Hey, share what you know. Is it saying? No. Not saying the same thing again, is it? Let me have a look. Can't be the same thing again. Just can't be. Dingleberry McGee. 15 months, brother. Thank you very much for 15 stinking months. Keeping the gym membership going. The Dingleberry McGee is sticking with me. And I appreciate it, Dingle. Appreciate you a lot, my friend. Share what you know. I'm a little concerned. No, it says Rise Above, exciting research. It's been updated. Diablo. Woo, what a rhyme. I thank Dingleberry. He's the one with the catchy name. Makes it easy to rhyme. Yeah, share what you know. It says, time for an update on Rise Above, exciting research. Nick Rush. You got texted about the topic. That is weird. I wonder why it did that. Well, maybe it'll bring more people in. Thanks for popping in there, Nick. Even though you're just across the hall. Don't worry, Nick. She's not nervous at all. She's completely relaxed over here. She's doing great. It's going to be a fantastic stream. So for those of you that are here hanging out with me for the stream today, be gentle with Alexis. She's not nervous at all. She's super excited to be here, and she's just yeah, she's shaking her head at me right now. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to unpack all the hard work that she's done because it's been a few months. Mm-hmm. It's not been a weekend project. You know, we've done a lot of research here. We've done a lot of different things. Diablo's never gentle, he says. Don't make me come over there, you. Yeah, we'll get through it. So I mean, we got a bit of a timeline today, so let's get you in here, Alexis. Let's say hi to you and see how things are going. So everybody, do me the honor of saying hi to Alexis this morning. Alexis, you say hi to everybody. Hi. You got to speak up for me.
How you doing?
Hello, Alexis. Thanks for joining us today. I know it was so. To be fair, I have to say. Diablo says hi to Alexis this morning. To be fair, Alexis found out she was coming on the stream how long ago?
I got tricked like 3 minutes ago.
She got tricked. She was told about 3 minutes ago that that she was joining the stream. PUBG Pirate, holy smokes, man. How are you doing? I cannot believe you're in here. Thanks for coming back and joining the gym, buddy. Appreciate that. You came in just in time to see me bamboozle, as MLA says, this amazing young lady, Alexis, who has been interning here at Rise Above as a criminal justice major to help put some stats together for us. You guys are awesome. Oh, and Uncle Jim, you started the hype train too. Anna Forrest, you're here as well. Thank you all very much. You guys almost completed level 1 of the hype train already. You guys are spectacular. Emily, look at your fancy little mask that you get beside your name now. I have to say, that's my favorite sub badge. That colorful one. Looks super cool. Uncle Jim, you're awesome, buddy. Appreciate you. So Alexis and I, we're gonna kind of unpack your research today. For those of you that don't know, as I was saying, Jim, you're spectacular. Diablo, gifted a sub to Hype Train. Diablo, that's your 22nd gift sub to the channel. Diablo, you're a legend, brother. Thank you very much for helping to complete level 1 of the train. Anna Forrest, welcome to the gym. Don't forget to use your leg day emotes on Thursdays intentionally because Thursday is leg day. So Alexis has been basically taking all of our student numbers from day 1 of Rise Above and putting them into a database for us and compiling the numbers to get us to a place where basically we can see what effect we're having
Yes.
on students. So it's one of those things that we've always wanted to do. And I remember when you called us and said, "Hey, I want to looking for an internship, and I was told about you guys, and what can I do?" type of thing. This wasn't what you thought you were gonna hear about, was it?
It was not. No.
You want to you what were you thinking was gonna happen?
Well, I knew you worked with kids, so I'm like, I'm gonna be working with kids.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I took a statistics class in my spring semester this past year. And so when you were like, I want you to do a statistical analysis, I'm like, oh my God.
Here we go.
Behind me.
Poor
And
girl.
That's what I was doing. But it worked out. And I learned some stuff. So
Nice. Thanks for the lurk, Diablo. Appreciate you, buddy. So that's awesome. So you are a student at what university right now?
Spring Arbor University.
Spring Arbor University. What year of your degree are you in?
So I'm a senior.
You're a senior this year.
Graduating in May. Hopefully.
Graduating in May. Gonna have the robe on, little cap and gown action going on.
If they don't cancel it, but if they cancel it, me and my friends are gonna have our own.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
You have to make sure you let us know if they cancel it. Maybe we'll do a little shindig as well for you. We do it here for Rise Above students as well that graduate, where the students don't allow them, or the schools don't allow the students to walk. We'll do a whole graduation ceremony right here.
That's cute.
We get cakes. We get officials to come in to oversee. I act as kind of the MC for the event and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. We've done some pretty spectacular things, and more so for parents, because we want parents to come in and take pictures of their kids graduating. Because I mean, what parent doesn't want to come in and see their kid walk across the stage and have that special moment, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they'll have a graduation for you guys.
Yeah.
SAU is pretty on top of that stuff. So I have faith. I have faith in President Ellis to do the right thing here. If you're watching, Mr. Ellis,
Right.
do the right thing. Yeah, have a graduation for these kids. So you've done a lot of work. You're on the home stretch. So congratulations. And my audience says these cakes or kegs. None of the above. So you call us. You were kind of not sure statistics was going to be an exciting thing. Was it an exciting thing?
The results were exciting. The collecting data was not exciting.
So if anyone's done statistics before, if you've done data collection before, it can be a pretty boring thing.
It's very, very tedious.
Very, very. Pull the mic a little bit closer. If you guys can't hear her, yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
There we go.
For those of you who have collected data like this before, we have files and files and files and files of students, and we had to narrow down which year we were going to do. We had to kind of input a bunch of data into spreadsheets and do all those sorts of things to really then look at, okay, what's going to be a good year that's indicative of a normal year at Rise Above. So, because obviously 2020 wasn't going to be that year. Because, I mean, everything's messed up right now, here especially. But so we did some work. We put some numbers together. Did anything, as you were putting the numbers together, did anything surprise you in what you're seeing in the numbers? I mean, we don't want to go into names of students and stuff, but was there anything, as you were putting data in, was there anything that students were doing, any information you were reading about students that kind of caught you off guard? Anything that scared you or shocked you? Or
I want to say it caught me off guard, but I was surprised at what was getting them kicked out of schools.
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
So, like, well, one person got kicked out, but he had a toy gun. So I was like, and it just shows how everybody feels about weapons. But I'm like, it's a toy gun, so I don't understand why he was expelled. For that.
And so let's qualify expelled. So when she says a kid was kicked out for bringing a toy gun to school. Can you guys hear those alerts go off, by the way? Are you guys hearing OG Pickles say everything's great, everything's awesome? Nice. Congratulations on the hype train emotes, everybody. Scarlett Heathers, welcome back to the gym. You young lady, why not? Let me check OBS. Oh, I blame OBS. Because you should be hearing all the emotes. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do the thing. Subscription.
It's awesome.
So can you hear it now? Let me know if you can hear it now. Can you hear it now? How about now? Can you hear it now?
Okay. Everything's
Awesome.
great.
Everything
is awesome.
Thank you, OG Pickle. Scarlett Heathers, welcome back to the gym. You, young lady, are always welcome. So, what were we saying now?
Toy gun.
Way off track. So this young man brings a toy gun to school. Not a real gun, toy gun to school, and he gets expelled. So there are two types of expulsion here in Michigan, in the state of Michigan. There is an expulsion, which the school decides on their own to say, hey, you know what, Johnny, we're just not happy with your schooling. How things are going, your behavior is X, Y, Z, and yeah, no problem, Scarlett, thank you very much. And we're just going to separate ways for X, Y, Z amount of time. That's an expulsion. There's also a thing called zero tolerance expulsion, where a student is removed from school because the law says, hey, when X, Y, Z happens, you are mandated to kick this kid out of school permanently. Can't come back on any school property in the state of Michigan type of thing. Has to wait the mandatory waiting period. All of that stuff is involved. And that's a completely different thing. And so that student for that toy gun that you're talking about was a zero tolerance expulsion.
That's crazy.
Cannot attend any school in the state of Michigan for a zero tolerance expulsion because you brought a toy gun to school.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Crazy. Uncle Jim says, I've had no idea. I've had to have conversations with my 7-year-old son are not making finger guns or even to talk about his nerve for toy guns at school despite schooling being done via Zoom. There are kids right now in the country who have been expelled from school for showing toy guns on their Zoom calls. Like, Sam, I know you're just playing, but this can be a very serious yeah. It is insane, Anna. It is very much insane. So are there any other examples of things that kind of caught your...
Yeah, even following that line, a lot of people were expelled just because they made threats or they did something on social media or something, so they didn't actually do anything, but they were kicked
So
out
there's no actual physical threat been made outside of someone's going online saying, I'm so mad with so-and-so and I'm going to kick your butt tomorrow at school or I'm going to do X, Y, Z. So that's what's known as, under the law, as a terroristic threat. You'll hear that term a lot in this circle of expulsion is, XYZ student made a terroristic threat online or in school. It could be writing on the bathroom wall. Remember the old thing, or whatever, I'm going to kick your butt online or on the bathroom wall. I think Nappy's was known for that.
Awesome.
For a good time, call Nappy at, one of those types. Nappy, welcome back to the gym. There's my friend, Nappy. You're my friend, Nappy. It's not the way it works. Welcome back to the gym, buddy. I appreciate you. I'm so glad that you accidentally texted me this weekend. I wanted to know that you were okay, and I'm so happy you are. And holy smokes, Nappy, 23 months in the gym. You have to be the buffest dude on your street. Absolutely. For a good time, call Nappy. Sounds like a terroristic threat to me. That's awesome. So good.
Thanks for tuning in.
That's so funny. So terroristic threats are something completely different. So we've had a lot of those kids. There was 2 years where 50% of our population here at Rise Above were students that were here for uttering terroristic threats. Students who had gone home and for one reason or other either texted somebody or went on Instagram or whatever the thing is and said, tomorrow things are going to be different, right? And I've gone public with this on television, radio, everywhere that I've been allowed to speak, and said the tragedy in that terroristic threat is that I would say 100% of those kids, if not 100%, pretty darn close to 100% of those kids, those zero tolerance kids who are expelled for that terroristic threat, they're the victim. If you look at this kid and what brought them to the point of picking their phone up or going into the bathroom and writing XYZ on the wall, it's because there was another student involved that was bullying that kid. And the kid that's making the terroristic threat is too weak emotionally, socially, or physically to respond in a way that would stop that bullying from happening. And so they eat it up. They eat it. And then one day they finally explode and they say, that's enough. I'm done. And then they go and they make this terroristic threat. They go and they say something that's violent, or they write something that's violent, and then they get charged. And here the bullies still at school, I got Johnny's expelled because I did it. You know what I mean? That's not fair.
Yeah.
And honestly, I go to the schools and I say, I push back and say, you can't just, sure, if the law says you have to expel Johnny for writing that, fine. Expel Johnny for writing that. But you better darn well go back and figure out who he was talking to and why he said that. Because that just doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? That's not fair. Because Susie, who started this conversation, who's been pushing him and saying, hey, I'm going to say XYZ to everybody at the school if you don't do XYZ, she better get punished or whoever it is.
Yeah.
That's my argument. Yeah, I agree. There's got to be some sort of repercussions for making the threat. I agree. The school's got to cover their butts and everything else. But that, to me, is extremely frustrating. Scarlett, I think he writes my number on the walls instead of... I'm sure he's pranking you. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. Yep. No political aim equals paranoid overreaction. It's scary. Share what you know. I mean, especially when you're talking about minors, students in middle school, high school, young kids. You know what Uncle Jim was saying with his 7-year-old, having to warn a 7-year-old about making a finger gun, is crazy to me. To think that that's how far we've gone to one way, and it doesn't surprise me one bit, Alexis, that you got into the numbers of our students and the explanation of what brought them here, and were stunned by that. Because every time I interview kids, it stuns me to read what's going on in the stuff that we see students for. Anything else that kind of caught you about your research and what you were seeing as you did the numbers?
I think more so the results.
The results. We'll get into the results in a second, so don't open the gift yet.
Gotcha.
So the results actually surprised me, but didn't surprise me because I know what we do works. It's not, as a parent, I know it works. It's employed by me as a father and my wife as a mother every day. And we do it with our good friends, those whom we love dearly. We do it with each other all the time.
Yeah.
Right? The beauty of the relationship we have with our community here in the Risk Immerse channel is exactly that. We employ that very thing. I think that's why our community loves hanging out the way they do. I think that's why the entire SAG community and the other streamers that we have all get along, because we bear burdens with each other. We share deeply, and we absolutely, to varying degrees, love passionately each other's time, space, and indeed energies that go into each other's streams and whatnot. And I think it easily translates when you talk to a parent about how they love their kid, how it translates into a rise above. So what are some of the metrics that you are recording? So when you were looking at the students and you're gathering data, what was some of the data that you were collecting, just so they know what we were looking at?
Yeah, so we were looking at ages, race, gender, what parents are in the home, if the parents are in the home.
So parents, meaning is it a single mom?
Father, or both parents or grandparents.
Yeah.
Adopted.
Because we have a lot of students that don't live with their parents. They live within
a different, I've seen a lot of grandparents. I was like, okay, grandparents are the best. But
yeah.
And then just like what got them into the program. So different categories, whether it was threats or weapons, truancy, substance use, mental, emotional health, contact with police, stuff like that.
So I don't know if you saw me laugh a little bit there. Truancy makes me laugh. Expelling a kid for being truant.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but
think about that for a second. We are in the state of Michigan, anyways. We are expelling students for truancy. Because you don't show up to school, I'm going to kick you out of school.
Yeah, I don't get that.
What? What?
I don't know.
Think about that. You're a bank. How dare you rob banks? Because you rob banks, I'm going to make you rob banks.
Yeah.
How dare you rob banks? What? What kind of punishment are we? Who sits in a room somewhere and says, you know what? How can we teach these kids a lesson?
Mm-hmm.
These kids that don't want to go to school, you know what we should do? Oh, I got a great idea. Let's make them not go to school. Like, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
People, I tell you, you can't come to school because you didn't come to school frequently enough. So now, because you only came once a week, now you can't come at all.
Yeah. I don't know.
Makes you shake your head. I know our superintendents really well. We have 13 superintendents in Jackson County. And I know most of them fairly well. There's a few that I just know by acquaintance, but and I believe that they have good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
By word and action, I've seen from them that they have good intentions, and I believe by and large their hands are tied in a lot of cases. But I tell you this, and my life will shift to this direction at some point soon. I know it will. It is our job, your job, my job, a parent's job, a superintendent's job, to be a voice for that student. There is no way an 8th grader, a 9th grader, should be in a position to make the decision to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
If a student is staying home, there is a guardian involved who is allowing that to take place. Why am I punishing a student
Mm-hmm.
for a guardian not doing their job?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a controversial statement, to say parents should be held accountable for the actions of their students.
I mean, but they're minors, so a lot of them aren't driving. They can't.
Exactly. So if, as a parent, it's my job to flip a mattress in the morning if I have to.
Yeah.
Time to get up. Whoop. Get your butt out of bed. I mean, a bucket of whatever needs to work. There's some water coming your way. Squirt bottle like the cat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of bed. It's just the moment you make it an option is when you have an 8th grader who is truant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame the schools for taking action. I blame the schools for punishing the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the law fails. Sorry, side note. So we looked at all these factors,
We did.
in other words.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at demographics of the student,
Mhm.
age, sex, race, all that kind of stuff to see what we could pull out.
Mm-hmm.
That really wasn't what we focused on a whole lot, though. In the end, we didn't think it really gleaned a whole. Well, I'm sure if we wanted to, we could go in and glean nuggets of information. But I think for the overall purpose of what we were trying to achieve, it wasn't the end of what we're doing. There are there are a lot of parents who shouldn't be parents. Agreed, 1,000%. But the reality is there are a lot of parents who are parents. And, it's not fair in those instances that we punish those students who have those parents for the lack of parenting. How many times can I say parent in one stream? But so we did all this work. I say you did all this work to pull all this information out and to compile it, put it in one spot. And you just got done. How long did you spend doing all this, putting this together?
From September to I think early December. Or
September
was
to
it-
early
I think
December?
it was early December.
All right. And you just gave me a nice little slide presentation,
Little mini.
something that we're going to talk about today that I want you to kind of work us through.
Okay.
I got the slide up on my side over here, so as we switch screens I'll go to a full screen so you guys can see it well and not have to worry about it too much. Let me see here, see if I can make it a little bigger. Make sure it's easily seen by all you guys. There we go. That should be a good size. So we'll switch over screens, and I'll let you kind of get into what you found.
Okay.
So give me 2 seconds. I'll switch over here. So the goal of the study was really to look at the impact that Rise Above is having on the students and the overall. And so I'll unpack a little bit more detail. This is going to focus on certain things, and then I'll add to the other stuff that I'll then use this to help explain to the community and those who would want to fund a nonprofit like Rise Above and why the work is important. So I'll let you talk through the slides and read them out and go through all that kind of stuff, and I'll chime in once in a while to give you a hand.
Okay. So I have a bigger one than this one, so it's a little.
Yeah, add whatever you need to add.
Sure. So the overwhelming questions that we were kind of looking at is what the recidivism rates were for Rise Above students who completed the program in an academic school year or a year, and then what background factors impact the rate of recidivism. So the parents in the home, or what offense, in quotation marks, got them here.
Yep.
Stuff like that. And then comparing it to the probation office for students who never went through a program like this.
So to add clear to that, so we talked closely because we have a probation officer on board, on our board. And so part of the study wasn't just looking at our numbers, it was comparing them to their numbers as well. So looking at the results that Rise Above had alongside the results that traditional probationary services were having with the same population.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, I collected data, and so you have a lot of students, but we condensed it down to like 35 who fit the criteria. So are there people who didn't come back, completed it in an academic school year? And then when I talked to the probation office, since 17-year-olds are counted as adults, we had to drop them from our Rise Above students, so the comparison would be okay.
Yep.
So it's under 17 for everybody who got included.
So we sticked with under 17-year-olds. Yeah, makes sense.
And then these are from like the school year from 2016 to 2018.
So we took a 2-year block.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we had 9 females and 26 males who were included in this. And your recidivism rate overall was 29%. And then you compare that to the probation's office, it was 77%. So it was a huge difference.
So let's explain recidivism rate. So 29% recidivism rate for Rise Above, and a 77% recidivism rate for traditional probation work that was done through the courts. So does everyone understand what recidivism is? Recidivism is the rate at which students reoffend within a certain given time frame. And for us, typically we use a 12-month period where we would see students again or have additional information that would lead us to understand what the student had done or not done within that time frame. So just so if everyone's curious, or so you understand what recidivism is, that's what we're talking about here.
So we tried to break down the background factors for, all right, what's different? Is it kids who come in with a violent offense? Are they more likely to recidivate? Or is it people who have weapons? And when we looked at all the background factors, everything was similar between people who did and who didn't.
Sure.
So what they did doesn't necessarily indicate if they're going to recidivate when they leave.
Yeah, that's a great point to this. So just because a student was violent versus a student who wrote on a bathroom wall doesn't necessarily indicate the probability or the likelihood of reoffense.
Yeah.
The fact that they're going to recidivize, in this, to use the term, again, within a certain given time frame.
And
so
that actually surprised me. I was like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter what they did. It matters what happens here.
Yes. Yeah, to varying degrees. Absolutely. Yep. So, and again, I think it's amazing to see the degree of difference between the Rise Above recidivism rate and the what happens through the traditional probationary service.
Yeah. So the only background factor that possibly shows a difference was females and males. So you
explain that.
What did you say? So 89% of your females don't recidivate, or 11% of your females do. Versus males who are 65% don't recidivate versus 35% who do. So like 1 out of 9 females recidivated, 9 out of 26
Okay.
males recidivated, and it kind of looks
Everything's
like you
great.
have more males in your
Everything
program.
is
And then when I
awesome.
kind of look at the bigger picture as far as incarceration, there's more males who are incarcerated. So I don't know what the difference is between females and males, but there's something going on.
So explain that. Explain that again. I want to make sure everyone captures this well. First, Flip, welcome back to the gym, my brother. I hope you had a great weekend, and thank you for recommitting to the gym 2 months in, and you're looking good, buddy. 2 months does a lot when it comes to the gym. So there was a big difference between boys and girls. And just to reiterate, the boys had a higher recidivism rate, or girls had a
Yeah.
higher recidivism rate?
Guys have a higher recidivism rate. So 35% of your males are more likely to recidivate versus only 11% of your females. So it's not a huge gap, but it's a gap.
Now, do you think that could contribute to the population size that we were counting in this particular case?
We
Because
thought about that too.
we had significantly less girls in our
do,
sample.
but with Professor Hawthorne, who was helping, he was saying it's still kind of an indication that like out of 9 females, only 1. Out of 26 males, there were 9 who
Sure.
did. But it's not. We don't have enough information to be like, all right, so
Conclusive.
yeah.
But it's a good indicator. It's a good direction to let us know that we're moving. We're moving. Hey, Morg Meme, thanks for checking in there, kiddo. Yeah, we love you too. Thanks for checking in, Morg, and I appreciate you saying hi. Thank you for helping Asher this weekend. You're a rock star. All right, so so that was an interesting one to me as well. I was really curious to see the gender side of things, whether or not, because of how Rise Above works, because we are highly relational, girls tend to be highly relational, more so than boys, overtly, right? I mean, guys just show it differently. And I was curious to see whether girls would have a more positive response to the method Rise Above employs with our attention to love languages and our ability, desire, action of overtly loving on our kids, overtly loving our support staff. You know, I was curious how that would affect the different groups and the typical responses that each gives in societal norms, quote unquote societal norms. So, what else we got?
Well, one thing I thought was going to be a big impact was the parents in the home thing, and I thought it would be a bigger difference, but there wasn't.
So explain that. Explain what you looked at, explain what you thought was going to happen, and then explain what you actually saw.
So I looked at if they live with just their mother or just their father or both parents or no parent at all, so an outside guardian.
Sure.
And I thought that people who are in single parent households would be more likely to recidivate than those who live like both parents or whatever, but it wasn't like that. The results were similar between people who recidivated and who didn't.
Okay. So did you see any causality in that? I have a hypothesis. That's why I'm gonna throw it at you. I'm just curious what you thought. Do you have any idea why it didn't matter?
Well,
versus
I was under the impression that if you live in a single-parent household, it's a higher risk factor. And I live in a single-parent household, but I haven't been involved in anything. But I just thought that was a risk factor, so I'm like, it's going to be higher.
Do you mind if I ask you one personal question? So you're in a single-parent home, mom or dad?
Mom.
Do you and your mom get along really well?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Typical stuff? Or would you say your mom loves you to death? Fall on a sword type love you to death?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
As moms.
Because I grew up in a very broken home as well. A very broken home, very impoverished, forms of abuse in my home. Single mom, struggled to find adequate relationships that were not abusive in her own life. But yet, I knew my mom, if somebody went after me, I knew she was going to mama bear that person, right? And my grandmother, I had a secondary in my life, my Portuguese grandmother, who, I mean, talk about unconditional love, right? This woman loved me to death. And literally would give anything
Mm-hmm.
if I asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I believe it was that depth of relationship, not the conditions of my home,
Mm-hmm.
not the single parent or dual parent home or whatever the case is. It was that I knew my parent
Mm-hmm.
was there for me no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was gone a lot. But when I needed her,
Mm-hmm.
if I needed Mama Bear was available.
Mm-hmm.
But on the normal 90% of the time, day-to-day stuff, never around.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that's your situation,
Mm-hmm.
but my hypothesis is that when in looking at what you looked at with regards to parent, not seeing any correlation towards behavior, my guess is that those students that had the higher degree of success had a higher degree of success because they had somebody of great influence in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have to necessarily be that parent, but somebody was in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it could very well have been just my grandmother, and that's 90% of what I equate my success to, is having a grandmother around that was there consistently for me. But I equate it to the fact that they have somebody of influence. And for those students who don't have that person in their lives, when they come to rise above, we become that person for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's the majority of our recidivism success. It's because we then become this catalyst for them. And we talk about trust, obedience, challenge, change, growth. This person, this single point of trust for that student to overcome whatever challenges they face.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious what you saw as a point
Yeah.
of interest there.
It's interesting because I have a sister, and she matches the demographics, risk factors, behavior of the students here.
Sure.
And we both, I always wonder how does one person end up like this and one person end up like that. And I kind of went a different direction, and she's in the other direction, but we both grew up in the same household. But when you talk about, I guess, influencing factors, maybe she didn't necessarily have that influencing factor that helped her.
So again, there's a perfect example. So basically, just to reiterate what Alexis was saying, she has a sister, and the sister has not responded as she's grown up in the same way that you did, what you would consider probably a less favorable way than you. For me, my gut goes to, did she have the same level of relationship with your mom, or did she have the same level of maybe a close relationship with a good friend who is a positive influence?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that we talk about a lot with our students here is, hey, your friends that you keep close to you are the ones, especially as you get in your teenage years, who will determine the outcome of your teenage years. Your friend choices will determine whether you stay in football, whether you continue on with your athletics or your academics in any sort of way, or whether you drop out of XYZ thing or the other. You know what I mean? We hear about that all the time. You know, he was doing so good, and then I remember he was a baseball tournament one year, and we were down in XYZ state, and he got injured, and he had to take the whole year off baseball, and he just went downhill from there. That's an actual student that we had. You know, it was a baseball injury where he couldn't play baseball that year, and had to find something else to do with his time. And that something else was a single friend that took him down a different path, because he had free time now to go do whatever that friend was doing. He had the friend all along, but just wasn't able to hang with him on the level that got him in trouble. Suddenly the time opened up, and down the path he went. And here we have a student now that had to come through Rise Above, and thankfully graduated and went on to different things. But the reality is that's how it happens. You know, there are always indicating factors that you can point to say, you know, for you and your sister, for example. And I mean, me and my brother, the exact same way. You know, why did I go one way and my brother go a completely different way? And I can say, for me and my brother, he did not have any significant relationship at all with either of my parents. To this day, he still fights with and is very combative with all of my family. I can't even text him without him telling me to just F off. It's bad. But he's successful financially, just not relationally.
Yeah.
You know. So and that's the thing with Rise Above. So the goal with your findings now is to then dig one step deeper and say, okay, so we've proven that Rise Above is successful.
Yeah.
Our numbers show clearly that we have. Let me just go back real quick here. Our numbers show very clearly that we have a 71% success rate with the population, where traditional courts have a 23% success rate. That's huge.
It is.
That's huge.
Like, that's
71
amazing.
versus 23%. What's different? One is very legalistic, punitive in the sense that these are the rules. You need X, Y, Z hours. You need to pay back this. You need to perform these activities. And if you don't, I'm adding to it. Right? Rise Above, there's no punitive anything. We have no discipline. The discipline that we have is, oh, you got to go talk to Mr. Fernandez. Oh, what are you going to make me do? Go talk to Mr. Fernandez? Yeah, actually, you got to come talk to me. Or in this case now, it's Mr. Nick. You know, they've got to sit and talk with Nick. In other words, your punishment is to be in relationship with somebody where you have to talk through the issues. You just don't get to write it off with a check or go work it off with a shovel. You got to sit down and you got to talk through it with me. And you're going to come to some understanding as to why this is happening.
Yeah.
Why it shouldn't happen. And the benefit of it not happening again in the
Okay.
future.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Thank you very much, Andy. Appreciate you, buddy. Listening, working. Hey, Alexis.
Hi.
Andy, thank you very much for the resub, buddy. 16-month streak. Fantastic. Not only a mountain of a man, but a legend of a sub as well. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's come back in to the gym today, and for those who have gifted to others so they could be in the gym with us. Appreciate you all. So yeah, I mean, the crazy thing to me is to think that there is some magic bullet to this. You've been here since September. In your anecdotal analysis, just the roamings, the musings that you have as you've walked around Rise Above, interacted with the staff, and whatever limited interactions you've had with me. Is this hard? Is this something you need special training to do, you think?
I mean, y'all are amazing, so maybe, but I don't know. Yeah.
But do you think did anybody here go to school to do this?
No, I don't think so.
Not a single one of us went to school to work with at-risk kids in any significant way. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we did, in the sense that we all have our certain personalities and gifts and abilities that we've brought to this program. But I don't think Sierra has a degree in social whatever with at-risk youth. You know what I mean? She's just an awesome freaking teacher. She loves on those kids. So, I mean, what do you think the common denominator, what do you see as the common denominator then with our staff? And what do you think contributes to that freaking amazing success rate?
I think y'all love the kids and want them to succeed, which sounds kind of simple, but I don't know, if you don't have that.
So that was going to be my question. Do you think that that's easy to do?
To love on somebody?
Yeah, especially when that somebody's difficult.
I feel like when it's difficult, it's harder. But if you care, you're not going to stop caring just because they do something to annoy you or that they're not supposed to do. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Do you mind if I bring scripture into this a little bit? I'm going to bring something up here. So for those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you do, I'm an ordained minister. And I happen to read the Bible every now and then. And there's a verse in Luke 14 that I just happened to read it this morning as part of my regular study. And please bear with me as I read it. I think it's very pertinent to Rise Above and to the work that we're doing. So this is a story about a Pharisee, a religious leader in Jerusalem in Jesus' time. It's a story he's telling. It's not an actual historical thing, but it's just a story Jesus is telling. And he wants to have a party at his house. And Jesus is talking about, well, let me back up one step, because there's two stories here. There's one of a wedding feast. Jesus is talking about, okay, I'll just read it.
Okay.
When he noticed, I want to capture the whole thing. Give me 2 seconds while I reread. Jesus had house parties, not a lie. True story. When he noticed how the guests had picked their places of honor at the table, he told this parable. Because he had just invited people over to his house to talk to them. And people picked places to be close to Jesus because they wanted to sit close, because they thought, if I'm close to Jesus, the other people at the table are going to think that I'm a person of honor and privilege. So when Jesus noticed this, he told this parable. When somebody invites you to a wedding feast, do not take a place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you to the wedding feast may say to you, give away your seat to this person of honor. Then you would be humiliated, because you'd have to get up in front of everybody and give up your seat of honor to this other person who is more distinguished than you are. And you'll have to take a seat of lesser importance. But when you are invited, instead, take a seat of a lower place, farther away from the guest of honor, so that when your host comes in, he will say to you, no, friend, come, sit up front close to me. Please move to this better place. Then you'll be honored in the presence of everybody. And all the other guests will exalt you, and so on and so forth. And then Jesus goes on to tell another parable. And this is important, and bear with me. And I'm not saying you're all Christians, but I want you to understand, because this is, outside of Christianity, this is an important conversation, because we like to put ourselves on pedestals, all of us. We all want to seem like we're the most educated, we're the most important person in the room, and look at me, I'm up at the front, I'm speaking on this topic, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's not our job. Our job is to be in depth of relationship and to push those around us forward first, because we're accepting our reward early. And so it goes on. He then goes on to tell the parable of a great banquet, and this is the one that really sings to my soul. When one of those at the table heard this, he said to Jesus, "Blessed is the one who will eat at the feast in the kingdom of God." Jesus replied, "A certain man was preparing a great banquet, and he invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servant out to tell those who had been invited to come. Everything is now ready. Come to the house. Everything's ready. The banquet's all ready. Get in and enjoy the feast." And immediately, all that had invited started to make excuses. One said, "Oh, I can't. I just bought this field, and I got to go out and see it. I'm just busy. I got stuff to do. I bought this new property. Please excuse me. I can't make it to your banquet." Another said, "Oh, I just bought some new cows. I got to go attend to the cows, make sure they've got their shots and everything's good." I'm adding contextual, stuff to this a little bit. I'm paraphrasing. And then another one said, "Oh, I just got married. I can't right now. I got to go attend to my bride." So the servant comes back to the master of the house and said to the owner all that was said to him about how everyone just refused. Said, "I can't. I'm busy." And the man of the house became angry and ordered the servant to go out quickly into the streets, into the alleys, and into the town, and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. And he said, "Sir," the servant said, "what you ordered has been done, but still there's room at the table." And then the master told the servant again to go out in all the roads, country lanes, and to compel everybody to come and sit at the table until the house was full, so there was no room left, so that anybody that was invited, should they change their mind, would come to the door and find that there was no room left at the table. That they, even though they were invited first, because they'd refused, that the master of the house had filled the room. And I realized that this is the picture of Rise Above, that this is our goal, because everyone said at the beginning of Rise Above, oh, it's great, we can help students throughout Jackson, and it really dawned on me that I don't want to help those students who have access already. They have means. They have fields to buy. They have cows to buy. They have successful lives and relationships already in their lives, right? I want to help those people who are sitting on the street. We wanted to help those people those who had no invitations to sit at the table, those who had no means to take care of themselves, to feed themselves, or to have a seat at the banquet.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need, it takes a personality, I think. This is, as you said, I don't think it takes a degree. You can have all the degrees in the world, but if you don't have a desire to have a depth of relationship with people who are different than you, who look different, smell different, all that stuff, you know what I mean? You're going to struggle to do this type of work. And it just really struck to me, because people who have everything typically are the ones that I got it, I'm good, I'm busy, I can't, and then we often, hey Batman, what's up? Then we often overlook those who actually need the help, who actually need that seat, and I believe that's the gap that Rise Above fills, and that's why when I read your study and we saw the success rate, I believe that's why we have the success rate, because people are sitting at the table who have never sat at the table before. And like, oh my gosh, I love sitting at this table. I love this place of honor I've been given, and the attention and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Uncle Jim, thank you very much. Batman, welcome back to the gym, buddy. Appreciate all of you. So I've missed some comments here. Let's go back. Yeah. I mean, when you can turn water into wine, it's bound to happen at some point. Uncle Jim is, but the true story there is, Uncle Jim, none of us are the best Christian. Not gonna lie. I'm just as likely to hold my staff on a pedestal as I am. Yeah, in Jim, it's not that we have to be low or not hold ourselves on a pedestal. It's just that we, when we put ourselves first, we flip the narrative, right? It's not wrong to have high standards for ourselves, is to understand that we can be a blessing to others. It's when it becomes a selfish act, that you only do this, or you're only in relationship with somebody because of what you can get out of the relationship. If I only ever call my donors when I need something, they're likely to not be my donors long. My best donors are the ones that I get along with personally the most, the ones that I just go for lunch with, and there's no ask involved. And I've actually had donors say to me, "You need anything?" "No, I'm good. I just wanted to go for lunch. We haven't caught up yet. I remember last time we went out, you told me about your daughter and how she was doing X, Y, Z, and I just wanted to follow up and make sure that things were good." Okay, and they love that. And then when I do call with an ask, they're like, "Yeah, no problem at all. Let's go." And that it just catches people off guard. Good night, all. Thanks for stopping in, PUBG Pirate. Hopefully I didn't miss you before you took off. If you were the best at something, you couldn't say it because it would come across as conceited and grandiose. Yeah, but I mean, the true story there is share what you know, that people can't. I think of athletes right away, right? The superstars. "Oh, I'm the best." Muhammad Ali, "I'm the best." And he would, tell all the story, and that's great. He was the best. The man was freaking a phenom. Bo Jackson, another guy. He touted the fact that he was the best. Some of the literally best superstars, Michael Jordan is one of them. That man would never, let's say never, very rarely say he was the best. I can't think of a time. That's why I got a quote of his down on the wall downstairs. We had a big mural put up, and there's a quote from him on the wall. The reality is, true greatness comes in a humble fashion. Yeah, he was him and Jose Canseco, I hate to admit it sometimes because of how Jose ended up, but Bo Jackson and Jose were my two big number ones back in the 90s. So, yeah, it really is, it's a fine line between, because when we started Rise Above, everybody said it was impossible for us to do what we're doing, what we are doing. These numbers blow people away.
Wow.
when I talk about this stuff with people, they will be in doubt
Why?
because it's unheard of.
Mm.
Everyone's used to the failure rate of these kids, not the success rate.
Yeah.
Everybody keys in on the failure rate.
Yeah.
That's why they throw them away. They're throwaway kids. Nobody picks them up and says there's value here, right? So it's that was one of the challenges. We were told day one, and I've said this on stream before, so some of you may have heard this before. We were told day one, this is impossible. You can't do this. It won't happen. One, the community won't support it. Two, the schools, they're not interested. Because again, the idea, the notion in the community was these are throwaway kids. This is the 10% of the population, just it's the norm. It's a thing. Your work proves the exact opposite. Think about that.
That's good.
For a whole community, the work that you've done from September to now is now my spear that I get to go and fling around the community and poke holes in everybody's little bubbles. True story. That's how important this is. We get to break paradigms now. Big buzzword in Jackson County is bias. Oh, they've got to get rid of the bias, this, bias, that. A lot of it has to do with race and a bunch of other things. But the reality is our students fall into this bias as well. The reality is a lot of people don't think it's the problem that it is. Well, that's what the courts are there for. The courts will fix it. Well, the courts don't fix it.
Yeah.
We by their own admission, by their own numbers,
Yeah.
it doesn't fix it. And I'd be willing to bet that if you went back to that, what was it, 23%? What was the number? 29% recidivism rate they had? I bet you that almost 100% of that 29%, you could pin down to one personality type. And they're a very similar person to myself in the sense that they're very motivated, very self-driven, in a student, a young person, who was caught up in a singular act. Something that just was stupid, impulsive, moment of passion. And at the end of the day, they're like, I just want out of this probation as quick as possible. I just want to get back to my life. I want to get back to school and my friends, and that's never going to happen again. The 70 whatever 1% that they 77% recidivism rate that they have,
Yeah.
that number there, they're touting the success. That 77%, they don't resolve. They don't resolve it. It sits there and it continues. The sheer fact that it's a recidivism rate shows it continues. They don't resolve it. Because there's no actual corrective action. There's no depth of relationship to ensure that it gets resolved.
Yeah.
Anyways, you said you had to get out at what time?
12:30.
You have to be there for
Yeah,
12:30, so 12:50. I just want to make sure we're honoring your time.
Yeah.
So, what does this change for you? Did it after going through this? Did this make you think about post university studies? Does this make you think about next steps in your life, or anything like that?
I want there to be more rise above places and different. It really makes me think about people who would have benefited from it.
Yeah.
But they're adults now, and it's not a program like this, and I wish it was in other places.
Now, just talking about in general, the people that you know that would have
People
been.
that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a really great program.
Now you're from Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just not from the Jackson area necessarily.
No, I'm from Romulus.
Romulus. That's closer to Detroit type of area. For those that aren't familiar with Michigan really well, it's a suburb, I guess, of Michigan, close to the Detroit area. Now Romulus, I haven't been there in a minute. What's Romulus like today?
I'm really only there when I'm home for summer. So really, okay, I lived in Melvindale longer, but then right before I came to college, I moved in with my great-grandmother, and
Gotcha.
she lives in Romulus.
Gotcha.
So I'm there for breaks.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right. Actually, that's exactly what it was. You find that a lot in Michigan, actually. There's a lot of communities that are named after Greek gods and a bunch of other things. Thank you, Batman. I appreciate you, buddy. One thing I want my audience to know this: your internship is done.
I have some hours, but I finished the research project.
Yeah, and so but your goal, you've stated that you would like to stay here until the end of the school year if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's just a cool place. I like impactful places.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with the kids, and we were playing like the card game. And
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just not programs like this, and I just like the environment. I want to be in it.
Thank you very much. Says a lot about our staff
They're really cool.
and our students. I will admit we have a great bunch of students right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pretty phenomenal group of kids that are here right now. It's about to get crazy in here in another week or so. I think one of the bigger schools in town is about to start flinging kids our way.
Okay.
So it's going to get pretty hectic pretty quick. So I'm excited to have I'm excited to have you stick around for a little bit and to continue to be involved here at Rise Above. So yeah, Andy, I think he probably was talking to you. So what I'm hearing, Alexis, will be your co-host for the next. Yeah, so you were a bit nervous coming in today.
I was.
Was it as bad? Is it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No, it's way calmer.
Pretty straightforward, eh? Yeah, it's pretty. That's why I say even Tina was the same way. She was a little nervous coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that remember Tina, she was on a few weeks ago. She's a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart. She has a wealth of information, just like you.
She's smart.
She's a smart cookie, very involved in the community as well. And for those of you that don't volunteer in any form or capacity in your community, know this, that nonprofits like Rise Above, when you talk about donations, whether it's a donation of money, time, or other in-kind gifts, meaning, a piece of furniture or something to that nature, I would say two things of importance. One, it's not about how much you give, whether it's $5 or $5,000. It's the consistency of your gift, the fact that you give it all, right? And if it's time related, the consistency is big. To know that the nonprofit wants to know they can count on you, right? So to have a schedule. I will be in once a month, on the first Tuesday of the month for an hour or whatever the thing is to do X, Y, Z. In the second half of that is the quality of your gift. Whether that gift is you, your time, a piece of furniture. I exclude money from that because a dollar's a dollar, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to your gift of yourself or an item, don't give your second best. And that's the beauty of the work that you've done here. I don't think this is your second best. This has a tremendous amount of value to Rise Above. This isn't an old beat up broken couch. You know what I mean? You following me? Because it does two things. Well, I'll back up one step. When you give a broken, beat up couch to an organization that you're trying to help, it says two things. One, I don't value your organization enough to give you my best. Mm-hmm. And two, I don't value those with whom you serve enough to give them my best. You following me? Mm-hmm. And when you have a population, our students, who are used to not being given the best, I don't change anything in their lives. What do you notice about Rise Above in our facilities?
It's really nice.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
How much money have I spent downstairs?
A lot.
A lot of money.
Really cool.
I literally just filled out 2 invoices today for more than I wanted. I probably spent $150,000 this year just on upgrading our facilities, putting in brand new, top quality furniture for these kids. Why?
They should have a better environment.
Because they're worth it.
Yeah.
I want them to have the best environment. I want them to walk in here and go, holy crap, this is for me? Mm-hmm. I'm not worth. Yes, you are worth this. My staff is worth it. Why would I want my staff to come to work in second rate? I want them and my students to have the best. What breeds more value in somebody than to have nice things?
Yeah.
I'm worth nice things. Do I need to drive a red Ferrari? No. Andy, you stay out of this. Right? Do I need a red Ferrari? No. Are you worth it? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could give you one. or an Audi R8. Correct, Batman. He read him and I had a conversation. What would I get first? And I've settled on the Audi R8. It's a beautiful car. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous. But the reality is, if I put a crappy, beat up, cat pee smelling couch in here, what is that going to tell my students?
That you don't really care.
They don't value.
Yeah.
Don't give me your English Aston Martin nothing. Get out of here. Right? I want to show them they are as valuable to me here as my kids are and what I give them at home. Because I don't put crap in my house for my kids. Why would I put crap in here in this house for these kids? That ain't fair. I bet you would, Batman. Time, my brother, in time. And that's the value of your study. Now I get to take the work and time that you've spent, this 3-4 months of effort, mundane, brain-breaking effort, because it's boring. I'm not going to lie. It's boring work.
Yeah.
That's why I thank you more than you can ever imagine. And I get to take it to a community of people who are waiting for me to give them the gift of these numbers and to show them why this work is important. Hang your hat on that. I'm telling you guys, Alexis is a gift from God when it comes to what this next 12 months is going to do. You don't know this yet, but tomorrow I'm going to meet with a very generous donor who is going to do a huge marketing campaign for us. And I am going to use this information and some others as a catalyst for our marketing. I'm
oh
going
my
to,
God,
I'm
we're the
gonna
luckiest.
use this.
Bachi. I am the luckiest.
We are the luckiest. Bachi, thank you for contributing $25 to the gym. Thanks for helping the great students. Thank you for helping the great students, Bachi. You are a rock star, buddy. And just know that money will get put to great use. So yeah, we're going to put this together, and just to put it into context. So let's put dollars and cents. And I've talked about this on the stream, but some of you are an actual Swedish saint. Some of you may have heard this already, but I apologize. But it's important to know. So let's talk about this zero tolerance expulsion kid for a second. Kid brings a fake gun to school and gets kicked out of school. The cost to the community for that student. Have I told you this before? You
mentioned cost, but
$170,000
wow.
for 12 months. From the moment that student is caught until he's done that amazing success rate of 77% recidivism with the probation office. Let's go.
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Thank you for the resub, Bachi, too, man. You're just kicking it off. Appreciate you, buddy. 3 months in a row. Thank you for the resub, Bachi. Welcome back to the gym, buddy. So with a 77% recidivism rate, that $170,000, give or take, is going to repeat itself 77% of the time.
That's crazy.
Think about that.
Yeah.
The cost to this community for that student. So you said there's how many? 35 students. 77% recidivism rate. So we'll call that 30 students are going to reoffend. 170,000 times 70. Or times 30. That's a lot. of money.
Yeah.
$3 million. Over. Crazy. And you think Rise Above, my annual budget, and I'm not shy about saying that, my annual budget at Rise Above right now, $300,000. That's what it costs to run this program for 1 year. 2 students with that 77, that's what 2 students in this community cost this community that every year, let alone the 50 to 60 that we get to influence here annually, normally. So when you talk about a success rate of 29%, Rise Above has literally saved this community millions and millions and millions of dollars in recidivism.
Yes.
By the sheer fact that our students do not reoffend, do not do the silly things that get them in trouble in the first place. That's what your work shows. So I get to go to a community of like-minded people who want to do the right thing, who want to fund things that show the benefit of a Rise Above. And I get to show them that, look, your dollars were well spent. Right? Yeah, you just gave me $50,000. This is how your $50,000 impacted 5, because the average cost for Rise Above per student is about $9,500. So we'll call it $10,000. So $50,000 pays for 5 students for a year. Now, $50,000, what's the math on that? Let's do a little math, shall we? So 170 times 5 equals, that's $850,000 minus 50,000 for that same students. Oh, I meant 50,000. Right? That's huge.
Yeah.
That's $800,000 we just saved the community.
That's good. It's really good, actually.
So talk about rate of return. Andy, you're a numbers guy. What's the rate of return on that? That's like 10 times the rate of return. For every dollar, you get $10 back. Crunching numbers. That's a 10-to-1 ratio.
Really
More than that. It's 13% or 130%. Andy's number, he's in sales. He better be a numbers guy. You know what I mean? That's a huge rate of return for an investment. I see a price cannot be put on kids upbringing. How about that? Perfect. Nailed it, Andy. So yeah, that's why I keep you around, bro. That's why I pay the big bucks to wield that sword, because you're a freaking genius. It's not only for you. That's too funny. It's funny you talk about shrugs. It's been anyways, it's a long story, but shrugs are on my mind. So the value of your work, my end of the reason why I want to have you on stream today was to thank you. Publicly thank you for this work. It is going to bear fruit for Rise Above long into the future. This is your gift to Rise Above, not only to our staff, but to our students, and indeed to this community.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
It is huge, kiddo. You did a phenomenal job putting this together. And what I would say, as I said to you before, my hope is not only that you stay connected to Rise Above as long as possible, but that you utilize Rise Above for jobs that you may apply for anything. I'd love to write letters of reference on your behalf, and to ensure that your community that you're going to move into one day and continue to influence knows the phenomenal work that you did to influence this little community that we are here at Rise Above. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all your hard work. Thank you for enduring the mundane. Thank you for flipping through all of our old files and for talking to all of our people that we, that we work with all the time. It wasn't for naught. Like I said, we're going to work tirelessly to squeeze every ounce of influence we can out of this work. Not for our sake, but for the students' sake. And my prayer for you this last little bit as you enjoy your time up to graduation is that our staff and students continue to bless you with their time and presence as you have lunch with, enjoy life skills and play games and do all that sort of fun stuff. Don't make it work in the sense of make it work, but don't make it feel like work. Let it be your passion. Let your passion come out in it. If it feels like work, you're doing it wrong. You following me?
Yeah.
That's what I do. It should never, our staff, like Sierra does a phenomenal job. I guarantee there are times it feels like work to her, I guarantee, but you see her most days, she's just sharing her passion with these kids. She's having fun. And that's what I want you to do, is I want you to share your passion with them and just come in and just have a great time. Andy says congrats on graduation. What are you guys all laughing at? Sounds like a quote my kids would say when asking me to buy something. You raised them well. Yeah. Share what you know. It's a huge number, man. Huge number. Space Force trying to... Yeah, we've got a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let you skedaddle. It's about 10 after 12. I don't want you to get stuck making it back to work. You got to do some stuff at school. So I want to make sure you get out on time. So Alexis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Know that Rise Above as a whole, I know Nick and myself, tremendously thankful. You've made our jobs a lot easier with this work. So bless you, kiddo, and hopefully we can stay connected long into the future. Absolutely. Everyone say goodbye to Alexis. Bye. Alexis, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye. Oh, wait, one more thing.
Yes, one more thing.
I do want to say Professor Hawthorne was like the MVP behind this project. Honestly.
So Professor Hawthorne, tell everyone who he was.
So he was my criminal justice professor. He retired this year, but he taught my statistics class. So when you call me about this, I'm like, I got to talk to him because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. He came up with like a mathematical formula, and he taught me Excel because I was struggling, and he was he was the MVP of this. Yeah, and we met with him for coffee when we could because of COVID here and whatnot. And I agree. He is Professor Hawthorne. If you're listening, or if you ever catch this video, and I would encourage you to forward it on to him maybe and just say, hey, we talked about you. Because he got endless emails from me. Yeah. Just, Professor Hawthorne, when you hear this, know that we at Rise Above appreciate you and your willingness to continue to work with Alexis through this process. And what a blessing it's been to have her on board and to have your support as we go as well. So thank you. Thank you, Alexis. Appreciate you, kiddo. Bye, guys. Bye, everybody. Yeah. So I'm going to continue a little bit here as Alexis clears out and get set to go. So any questions with that from you guys? Thanks, Alexis. Appreciate you, kiddo. Any questions on any of that information? I mean, it's huge. It's a big deal when you think about students in Rise Above and why we're successful and why donations like what Bocce did in the gift subs and the resubs that you guys all do, why that matters and what it is that you're actually funding. It's not just this. You know, I always tell people Rise Above is not what I call a handout ministry. So food banks to me are a pet peeve. They serve a purpose, but they don't solve a problem. People are still hungry after the food is eaten. It doesn't resolve why the person's hungry in the first place. Rise Above moves one step further. We are definitely a group of people who want students to get an education. Sure, that's something we want to do. We're the food at the food bank, so to speak, the education piece here. But in giving a kid a math credit, we're also seeking to resolve why that student isn't getting the math credit in the first place. We're seeking to resolve what got the student in trouble. And so when you guys come in here and participate in the communication part, the chat, the challenging of me and what I'm saying, sometimes when even when we goof around and play video games or whatever else, it is, sorry, I got to change my my Are You Dangerous topic as well. It is critical that everybody understand why
this work needs to exist. Did you ever get any further in the Viking game? I did not, Andy, and I'll tell you why. And I don't mean this in any meaningful, harmful, mad, angry sort of way. Several people went on to play it on stream after I showed everybody, and so I figured everyone's seen enough of it, so I didn't want to go through. I mean, I played the game myself, but I know several people went and played it on stream with the same audience group, so I didn't end up. Batman's dangerous because he's Batman. So I didn't end up going on longer and playing it. But my point is this, that when you guys do this stuff, you get to help perpetuate that success rate. Your involvement here helps to ensure that that continues to succeed. That these students continue to have access to loving adults who hope to have good, trust-based relationships in their lives. Anyways, that's good. Alexis is awesome. Wasn't she awesome? She was so nervous coming in. I literally went to Nick, because Nick's office is across the hall from the intern office. And I said to Nick, hey, watch this. And then I went over to Alexis's office, and I said, hey, Alexis, thanks for agreeing to come on stream today. She's like, what? And she paused for a second. She's like, you're joking, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm so nervous. I'm like, what are you? I said, relax. I said, this, Tina's been on here before. She had a great time. You'll do fine. And she was kind of like freaked out, so I had to kind of set the stream up ahead of time and let it sit for a minute, and kind of let it sink in that she was in the studio going through all the pre-stream stuff. Putting a mic in your face sometimes gets pretty nerve-wracking for people. Batman, Jennison. Jennison is on temporary permanent hold, unfortunately. Because of COVID, they don't know what's going on, so we've agreed to put it on hold. So sadly, we don't know what's going to happen with Jennison. Having said that, we've gotten a call from 2 other states. Yeah, big boo, Batman. We've gotten a call from 2 other states, Indiana and Ohio, from previous interns, actually, who are in those states, who are saying, hey, I want to launch a Rise Above in our state. What do I do? So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff. We're basically telling everyone to kind of hold on. Let's have the conversation. Let's move forward with getting you the information you need, a Rise Above package of all of our policies, procedures, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Inspector Gadget, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it in. You just missed a great interview with Alexis, one of our interns. But just to put them in a spot so that when we do flick the switch, it's a quick switch, and they get ready as soon as possible. It's just going to be challenging right now to set up relationships with people, because that's a big part of it. You got to set up relationships with funders, and if you can't go and meet people because of COVID restrictions, you got to go for lunch with people. You got to sit down. You got to have a face-to-face conversation. This Zoom thing doesn't work for that stuff well, unless you have a pre-existing relationship and your prospective donor is okay with the Zoom call. It's one of the nuances of this stuff. It's hard. So, Rise Above Europe. I'm telling you, Andy, buddy, in a second, I would do it. It's not impossible. Not impossible. And especially when you've got someone like your lovely wife, assistant, as an assistant to the idea. If you ever knew anybody else or anything that would be interested in having the conversation, it's a simple thing to talk about and to explore. So, the goal for the next couple of weeks, I think, is going to be a shift in the stream topics. I believe I want to have a physical health conversation, which will also couple with hey, Baron, what's up, buddy? Which will also couple with a emotional health conversation. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a YouTube video that talks about different types of workouts, and I'm going to work through them with you on stream, where I'm going to talk about diet and exercise just for a couple of weeks, just to have a shift, give a different perspective, different topic. I get asked a lot in direct messages to do different things like that and to help set up diets, and I find it difficult with my schedule to do that well, and I apologize to anyone that's asked me and I've not followed through. I'm horrible, and it's my fault. So in order to mitigate that, I'm going to have these conversations, not private conversations publicly, but public conversations in a general sense on stream, so you all can understand what you can do to stay healthy, or just change who you are. You know, some people, because there's different mentalities to exercise. Some people exercise because for selfish reasons. I just want to look good because I want to look good, and there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, that for me, that is what got me in the gym originally. I want to look good because I want to look good. I have an image of myself about how I want to physically look. Once I got started, then it shifted from I want to look good for me to, hey, this is really healthy. I just really am feeling better. My back doesn't hurt as much. I don't have as much social anxiety as I did because I have a stress reliever now. Yeah, no problem, Baron. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. Participate. I appreciate you and appreciate the lurk. But I will say though, you missed a good interview with Alexis, my intern, criminal justice intern. She's a phenomenal young lady that did phenomenal work for us here at Rise Above. And the goal is to just do some streams where we introduce different ways of exercising to people, that it doesn't all need to be big bodybuilder, weightlifting, move 3,000 pounds stuff. Literally, you can work out at home with some resistance bands or cans of soup. You don't need a $4,000 treadmill or things of that nature to get your heart rate up. Literally, just a couple of simple exercises. Even stretching can get, like, Bowflex is good, but Bowflexes are expensive. When I do my stretching at home after working out at home, I literally sweat when I do my stretching because because I have high muscle density, but at the same time, it's because stretching, the whole point of it is to get blood into certain areas of the body to mitigate injury, right? To get things flowing. Simple way to say it. So those are to come. So I'm looking to you for questions that you want me to answer, ideas you want me to explore. I'm doing good, Ragnarok. How are you doing, buddy? Thanks for stopping in. And I want to also identify areas of growth for people. So if you have specific questions about your diet, and your exercise, let's talk about it. As long as you're okay discussing it publicly, I'd love to. I'd love to talk about how to resolve that and how to do it healthy and in a fashion that is not going to cause further injury to people. Because a lot of people, when I say the word diet, you might as well put the word crash in front of it. Because everyone always thinks, it's this crash diet. I gotta exclude all these things, and I only can have 2 calories a day, and I gotta drink tons of water. I can't eat bread, and no, that's not true. I mean, you want to lose weight, you'll lose weight. It won't be healthy. Your poor organs are gonna suffer, and you're gonna lose a ton of muscle mass in the process. And the last thing you want to do when you're dieting is to get weak, muscular wise. Only celery and water, yeah. It's dangerous what people do to their bodies. And I tell you, I'm on a quote-unquote diet right now. And I eat like not a pig, but I eat well. There are days when I am literally forcing myself to put food in my mouth because I'm so full. You can do it in a good way where your body gets enough nutrients to survive where you don't actually feel like you're on a diet. You're just changing what foods you eat. So a lot of it will be common sense. I'm not going to lie. And it is, but you just got to think about it in a different way. So that's what we're going to do. That's going to be the next week's stream. I'm probably going to show you some videos. Healthy tacos. I just had healthy tacos this weekend, actually, Batman. True story. Yep. No problem, Andy. Give the pooch a big boop on the nose for me, so to speak. So that'll be it for the stream today. I think I just really wanted to focus on Alexis, the value of the work that she did. I am gonna bump you guys over to Air Max. I haven't hosted him in a little while, and I just want to do that for him. He's such a good dude. And let's see if we can get you over to Air Max. So hang tight, everybody. I wanna raid my dude Air Max. Appreciate all of you, and I hope I get to see you all next week. Bachi, you're a legend. Thank you for the resub, the gift to our students today of the $25. Thank you to Uncle Jim and Andy for all the gift subs. Flip for the resub. The couple follows, even though they're goofball follows, I appreciate them. Nappy, Scarlet, Diablo, Uncle Jim, PUBG Pirate, Dingleberry. Oh, and the list goes on and on and on. You guys are all freaking legends, and I love you all, and I love that you love my students the way you do, and continue to value them. Stick around for 2 seconds. Drop some emotes into Air Max's channel for me, and let him know that that I'm coming over to see him here in a few minutes. Appreciate all of you, and I hope to see you next week to have a real conversation about you two can have risk immersed arms of steel. Love you all. See you next week.
Hey everyone. Oh, Risk, my man! Thank you very much for the red, buddy. How was your morning?